They thought Amaka was just another poor village orphan, obedient, silent, powerless. But the night she stopped bathing in her uncle's compound and began sneaking to the forbidden mangrove river at midnight, something in the fog noticed her, and whispered her name from the water. What nobody knew was that Amaka wasn't running to the river for fun or riches. She was running because her own uncle had been spying on her, and the house that should protect her had become her biggest danger. So she chose the one place everyone feared, Mirioki, the river people avoid after dark. But this was no ordinary river. What happened next would pull Amaka into a deadly test of the heart, reveal an ancient anaconda deity hiding inside the roots, and expose how greed can turn family into enemies. And when two mysterious clay pots appear on the riverbank, one big, one small, one choice will set her free, and the other will bring judgment home. Because sometimes the safest place is the one everyone fears, and sometimes the real monster isn't in the forest, but inside your own compound. This is the story of why you should never bathe at the village river at night, and how one girl's truth changed everything. Before we dive deeper into this epic tale, we'd love to know where you are watching from. Tell us in the comments. And if you love high-stakes fantasy filled with mermaids, magic, love, and sacrifice, don't just watch, be part of our adventure. Like this video, share it with someone who loves powerful stories, and hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when next we release a story like this. Roosters cried before the sun showed its face. In Umuani village, morning did not wait for anyone. It arrived with sound, goats bleating, pots clanking, and women calling out names across dusty paths. Smoke rose from small clay stoves, carrying the smell of firewood and pepper soup into the cool air. The ground was red-brown like dried blood, and the first light made it shine. Amaka was already awake. She was 19, but many days she felt older. Not because she wanted to, but because life had placed heavy work on her head the way women placed heavy water pots, without asking if the neck could carry it. She lived in a big compound that belonged to her uncle, Matsi Kalechi. His house had a wide front veranda and a strong wooden door with metal rings. A mango tree stood near the local bathroom at the back. There were chickens everywhere, scratching the sand and chasing each other. Amaka did not sleep inside the main rooms like Ijeoma. Amaka slept in a small side room that used to be a store. The wall was rough. The window was tiny. And at night, when the wind came, it whistled through small cracks like a soft warning. That morning, Amaka tied her wrapper tight and stepped outside with a broom made from dried palm fronds. Her arms moved fast, sweeping the compound before anyone else woke up. She swept near the kitchen. She swept near the goat shed. She swept near the front veranda. She swept until her shoulders warmed up and sweat began to shine on her skin. Behind her, a voice cut through the quiet. Amaka. She did not jump. She was used to being called like a bell. Yes, she answered, keeping her voice low. Ijeoma stepped out like a queen who owned the sun. She was close to Amaka's age, but she behaved like she was a whole chief. Her wrapper was bright and new, and her blouse sat clean on her shoulders. Her earrings shook as she walked. Ijeoma looked at the swept ground and frowned like she was searching for something to complain about. "Did you sweep under that bench?" Ijeoma asked, pointing. "Yes," Amaka said. Ijeoma bent down, picked one small leaf, and held it up like proof. "So you call this sweeping?" she said loudly. "See dirt here. Are you blind?" Amaka swallowed the words that wanted to come out. She knew silence could be safer than truth in that compound. "I will sweep again," Amaka said. Ijeoma smiled, small and sharp. "You will sweep again, yes," she replied. "And when you finish, warm my water. I don't want it like yesterday. Yesterday it was like you fetched it from the grave." Amaka nodded. Ijeoma turned and walked away, her sandals tapping the ground like small insults. Amaka kept sweeping. When the compound finally looked clean, she went to the kitchen area and lit the firewood. The stick snapped and popped. Smoke entered her eyes, but she blinked through it and stirred the pot. She washed plates. She fetched water from the clay drum. She pounded pepper with a wooden pestle until her arms shook. As she worked, she could hear laughter from inside the house. Ijeoma was awake fully now, talking to her friends who had come early to gossip. Their voices floated through the air like birds. "Have you heard?" one girl said. "The palm wine tapper's son is looking for a wife." "Eh? Is it not that poor boy?" another replied, and they laughed. Amaka kept her eyes on the fire. Sometimes, she wondered what it felt like to be laughed with, not laughed at. Later that morning, she carried a basket to the market side of the village to buy salt and dried fish. On the path, she met Chinedu. Chinedu had been her friend since they were small. They used to run barefoot together and chase grasshoppers near the farms. Even now, he still spoke to her like she was human, not like she was a tool. He was tall and lean, with calm eyes that noticed things others ignored. He carried a small bundle of firewood on his shoulder. "Amaka," he said, slowing down beside her. "You are going early." Amaka forced a small smile. "Work does not finish." Chinedu looked at her face. Did Ijeoma start again? Amaka stared at the path. "It is nothing." Chinedu frowned. "You always say, nothing. But your eyes say something." Amaka hesitated. The truth sat in her throat like a stone. "It is just life," she whispered. Chinedu walked with her for a few steps. "Life should not grind one person like yam in a mortar," he said gently. "If you need help, tell me." Amaka wanted to say thank you, but words did not come easily anymore. She only nodded. Before they separated, Chinedu said, "Be careful, Amaka. People who enjoy hurting others don't stop by themselves." Amaka watched him walk away. His words stayed in her head. Be careful. That evening, after cooking and washing, Amaka went toward the small bathroom behind the compound. It was a rough place made with old wood and mud. The door was a weak curtain of cloth. Inside, it was always damp. The ground was cold. The smell of soap mixed with wet earth. Amaka carried a small bucket and a piece of soap. She stepped inside and began to bathe. At first, she tried to focus only on the water. She poured it slowly over her shoulders. She breathed in and out. But then she felt it again. That strange feeling. Like eyes. Not her own eyes. Not her imagination. Something else. She froze. The air felt too quiet, like the whole compound was holding its breath. Amaka listened. Somewhere outside, she heard a small rustle. A soft shift. Like someone moving gently so they would not be heard. Her heartbeat began to pound. "Who is there?" she asked, her voice shaking. No answer. She grabbed her wrapper quickly and wrapped it around her body. Her hands trembled as she stepped outside. The yard behind the bathroom looked normal. The mango tree stood still. The leaves did not move much. The sky was dim with early night. Amaka stared at the mango tree. Then she looked away. She walked back inside the compound fast, her feet light on the sand. That night, she did not sleep well. She lay on her mat and listened to every sound. Crickets chirped. A goat bleated once. Far away, a drum beat softly for a village gathering. And inside her mind, one thought kept growing like a weed. Someone is watching me. The next morning, Amaka could not carry it anymore. After sweeping, after cooking, after sending Ijeoma's food into her room, Amaka waited until Matsi Kalechi stepped outside to sit under the mango tree and drink water. He was a heavy man with a loud voice. People in the village respected him because he spoke boldly at meetings and gave small gifts during festivals. But inside his own compound, His kindness did not reach Amaka. Amaka walked toward him slowly. "Matsi Kalechi," she said. He looked up. "What is it?" Her throat was dry. Her heart beat fast. "Please," Amaka began, "I want to ask you something." He raised one eyebrow like he was already annoyed. "Ask." Amaka swallowed. "Yesterday, when I was bathing, were you watching me from the mango tree?" The air changed. It was like the sun hid behind a cloud even though the sky was clear. Matsi Kalechi's face froze for one breath. Then his eyes widened. Then his mouth twisted into anger. "What rubbish is this?" he barked. "What kind of dirty lie is coming from your mouth?" Amaka's hands shook, but she stood her ground. "I felt someone watching. I heard movement. And I looked at the mango tree." Matsi Kalechi stood up quickly. His chair scraped the ground. "So now you are accusing me," he thundered. "Me? In my own compound?" Amaka's voice became small. "Uncle, I am afraid. I am not safe." "Shut up," he shouted. "You want to spoil my name. You want to make me look like a bad man in this village." Amaka's eyes filled with tears, but she fought them back. "I am not trying to spoil you. I just want—" Matsi Kalechi stepped closer. His shadow fell over her. "Listen to me," he said in a low, dangerous voice. "If you ever talk this nonsense outside, I will show you that you are nothing here. Do you understand?" Amaka felt cold inside her chest. In that moment, she knew. Even if he was guilty, he would never admit it. And even worse, he was not sorry. He turned away like the matter was finished. "Go and do your work," he said, waving his hand like he was chasing a fly. Amaka walked back slowly, her legs weak. Inside the kitchen, Ijeoma watched her and smirked. "What happened?" Ijeoma asked with fake sweetness. "Did you go and cry to my father?" Amaka ignored her. Ijeoma laughed. "See you. Always acting like a wounded goat." Amaka's hands tightened around the pot she was holding. That day, the compound felt smaller than before. The walls felt closer. Even the air felt unsafe. When night fell, the village grew quiet. Lamps went out one by one. Dogs curled up near doorways. The moon rose like a pale coin in the sky. Amaka sat outside her small room, hugging her knees. She looked at the bathroom behind the mango tree. Her stomach turned. "No. I cannot go there again." She looked past the back fence, toward the dark line of mangroves that hugged the forbidden river. Mirioki. The villagers spoke of it in low voices. They said the water was too calm at night. They said fog sat on it like a spirit cloth. They said strange things lived in the roots and watched anyone who came too late. Amaka's heart beat hard. But then she remembered her uncle's voice. "If you ever talk." Her skin crawled. Danger felt closer at home than in the bush. She stood up. She tied her wrapper firmly. She picked up a small lantern with weak yellow light. She listened for movement. The compound was asleep. Ijeoma's room was silent. Matsi Kalechi's door was shut. Amaka stepped quietly toward the back gate. The night air was cool. The shadows were thick. The mangroves waited like a mouth. Amaka held the lantern tight and whispered to herself, "I will just bathe quickly. I will come back. Nothing will happen." Then she slipped into the path leading toward Mirioki, and the darkness swallowed her small light as she walked deeper into the whispering trees. The bush path behind Matsi Kalechi's compound was not the kind of place a girl should walk at midnight. In the daytime, children sometimes passed there to pick wild berries. Hunters sometimes walked there with dogs and long sticks. But at night, the path felt like it changed. The trees looked taller. The shadows looked deeper. Even the air felt thicker, like it was holding secrets. Amaka walked slowly, keeping her lantern low so the light would not travel far. The lantern made a small circle of yellow on the ground. Outside that circle, everything was black. Her sandals crunched on dry leaves. Each crunch sounded too loud. "Please," Amaka whispered to herself, "let this be quick." Somewhere far ahead, an owl called out. Amaka stopped. She listened. Nothing answered. She kept moving. The deeper she went, the colder the air became. The path grew narrow. Vines hung down like ropes. Once, a branch brushed her shoulder and she almost screamed. She covered her mouth with her hand and forced herself to breathe quietly. When the trees finally opened, she saw it. Mirioki. The Forbidden River. It looked nothing like the noisy stream near the farms. This river was calm. Too calm. The water lay flat like a dark mirror. The moonlight touched the surface and made it shine silver, as if someone poured powdered metal on it. Mist floated low on top of the water. It moved slowly, like a lazy ghost. On both sides, mangrove roots rose from the water like twisted fingers. Some roots formed arches. Some roots curled around each other like snakes sleeping. Amaka stood at the edge and swallowed hard. "It is beautiful," she whispered, surprised. The river looked peaceful. Like it did not belong to fear. Amaka set the lantern on a rock. She checked the bush behind her. She checked the roots. She checked the water. Nothing moved. She breathed out and began to bathe. She poured water slowly over her arms, her shoulders, her neck. The cold made her shiver, but it also made her feel clean in a way she had not felt in a long time. For a moment, she forgot the compound. She forgot Igioma's insults. She forgot her uncle's angry face. She was alone. Free. Then she felt it. That same strange feeling. Like eyes. Amaka froze with water dripping down her skin. She did not turn fast. She turned slowly, because turning fast felt like calling danger. The river stayed calm. The mist drifted. The roots stayed still. Amaka stared into the fog. Her heart beat hard. "Who is there?" she asked softly. At first, nothing happened. Then the mist on the far side of the river moved in a strange way, like something large passed behind it without making a splash. The water did not ripple, but the fog shifted as if it was breathing. Amaka's throat went dry. She picked up her wrapper quickly and tied it around her waist. She grabbed the lantern, holding it high. The light shook in her hand. "Is someone there?" she asked again. And that was when she heard it. A whisper. Very soft. So soft it almost sounded like the wind. Amaka. Her name. Spoken like someone who knew it very well. Amaka's eyes widened. She spun around, lifting the lantern higher, searching the roots. "Who said that?" she cried, louder now. Silence. The whisper did not come again. But the feeling stayed. Amaka backed away from the riverbank with shaking legs. She did not wait to dry herself properly. She did not look at the water again. She ran. Not the kind of running that makes noise and bravely fights fear. This was the kind of running that obeys fear completely. Her lantern bounced in her hand, casting wild light on tree trunks. Her sandals slipped on wet leaves, and once she almost fell. She did not stop until she reached her uncle's compound gate. She slipped inside, closed it gently, and stood there in the dark, breathing hard. Her chest rose and fell like a trapped bird. Maybe it was just the wind, she whispered, trying to calm her mind. But deep inside, she knew the wind did not call people by name. That night, Amaka lay on her mat and stared into darkness. Every sound made her jump. A lizard on the wall. A goat shifting in sleep. A distant drum. In her head, the river stayed bright and silver, and the whisper stayed soft and close. Amaka. The next morning, her eyes were heavy and red. Ijeoma noticed immediately. Ijeoma leaned against the doorway, chewing roasted corn. "You look like someone who fought spirits in her sleep," she said, laughing. "Or did you go and meet a boyfriend at night?" Amaka kept her face still. "I did not go anywhere." Ijeoma rolled her eyes. "You are always hiding something. One day, your secret will catch you like a trap." Amaka did not answer. She swept. She cooked. She washed. Her body moved, but her mind stayed at Mirioki. That afternoon, Chinedu appeared near the compound fence. He called softly, so no one would hear too much. "Amaka." Amaka stepped closer. "Chinedu." He looked at her face carefully. "You did not sleep." Amaka tried to smile. It did not work. Chinedu lowered his voice. "Did something happen?" Amaka hesitated. Part of her wanted to pour the whole fear out like water. But fear is heavy when you carry it alone, and it can also be dangerous to share it with the wrong person. She said only, "I went to the river at night." Chinedu's eyes widened. "Mirioki." Amaka nodded. Chinedu took one step closer. "Why would you go there?" Amaka's voice broke a little. "Because I am not safe at home." Chinedu went quiet. Then he said, carefully, "Is it your uncle?" Amaka's eyes filled. She blinked fast. Chinedu understood without her saying more. His jaw tightened. "That man," he muttered. "He wears respect like cloth, but his heart is different." Amaka wiped her cheek quickly. "Please don't talk. If he hears." Chinedu shook his head. "Amaka, you cannot keep hiding your pain inside silence. Silence did not protect you." Amaka looked down. "What should I do? If I speak, no one will believe me." Chinedu's voice became gentle again. "Come to my mother's house to bathe. My sisters are there. It will be safe." Amaka's stomach turned. "People will talk." "Let them talk," Chinedu said. "Talk cannot kill you. But danger can." Amaka wanted to agree. But she imagined Ijeoma's mouth spreading the story like fire. She imagined people calling her names. She imagined her uncle using it as another reason to hurt her. She shook her head slowly. "Not yet." Chinedu looked frustrated, but he did not shout. He only said, "Then please, Amaka, don't go to Mirioki again." Amaka did not answer. Her silence answered for her. That night, when the compound slept again, Amaka sat up on her mat. Her heart was beating before she even stood. She remembered the whisper, and fear rose in her throat like bitter medicine. But she also remembered her uncle's threat. And she remembered the bathroom behind the mango tree, how it now felt like a trap. Amaka picked up her lantern again. "Just one more time," she whispered. "I will bathe quickly and come back." She left quietly and followed the bush path, even though her legs wanted to turn back. The forest felt colder than the first night. The mist seemed thicker. The leaves sounded louder under her feet, like they wanted to tell on her. When she reached the river, Mirioki was still silver and calm. But the calm did not comfort her this time. It felt like the calm was watching. Amaka placed her lantern on the same rock, like a habit. She stepped into the water and washed fast, not enjoying the coolness the way she did before. She kept looking over her shoulder. Nothing. Still, the feeling of ice stayed. When she finished, she hurried out, tied her wrapper tight, grabbed the lantern, and started walking back through the mangroves. She had not gone far when she felt dizzy. At first it was small, like standing up too quickly. Then it grew, like the whole forest began to spin around her. She stopped and held onto a tree root. "Ah," she whispered. "What is happening?" The lantern light shook. The air felt heavy, like wet cloth pressed against her face. Then she heard something else. A sound she did not hear the first night. A slow scrape. Not loud. Not fast. Like something big moving carefully so it would not be heard. Amaka turned her lantern toward the sound. And she saw the mangrove trunk. A thick old trunk, cracked and gnarled, with a dark hollow like a mouth. The hollow was black inside. Blacker than the night. Amaka stared at it, unable to blink. At first, nothing came out. Then, slowly, something moved inside that darkness. A shape pushed forward, inch by inch, like a heavy secret sliding out of hiding. It was a head. A giant head. Smooth, wet, and huge. The head of an anaconda. Its eyes were open. Amber eyes. Staring at Amaka like it had been waiting. Amaka's knees went weak. "No," she breathed. The anaconda's head came out more and more, as if the tree itself was giving birth to it. Its tongue flicked once, tasting the air. Amaka tried to step back. But her feet felt glued. The dizziness became stronger, like invisible hands were pressing her shoulders down. "Move," she told herself. Finally, her body obeyed fear. She ran. She ran into the mangroves, lantern shaking, breath tearing from her chest. Behind her, she heard a heavy slide, like wet rope dragging through mud. She did not look back. She only ran. But after a while, something strange happened. The path did not lead out. It led back. Amaka burst through a cluster of roots and suddenly stopped. She was at the same fallen tree she passed earlier. Her eyes widened. No, no, no. She turned and ran another way. After minutes of stumbling, she reached the same termite mound. Her mouth opened in disbelief. She ran again, panic now louder than her thoughts, and ended up back at the river's edge. Mirioki. Silver. Come. Waiting. Amaka's lantern flickered. The mist moved around her ankles. Her chest rose and fell fast. "The forest is turning me," she cried, tears spilling. Her head spun harder. The cold air pressed on her like a giant palm. She stumbled, tried to hold onto a root, missed it, and fell onto wet leaves. Her lantern rolled. The last thing she saw was the mangrove hollow in the distance, dark as a throat. Then the world went black. Amaka woke to cold. Not the cold of harmattan morning. This was the cold of wet leaves stuck to skin. Her eyes opened slowly. She was lying near the riverbank. Mist floated above her face. Her wrapper was still tied, but wet. Around her, leaves and vines were arranged over her body like someone had covered her gently. Amaka sat up with a gasp. Her lantern was beside her, unbroken, but the light was almost dead. She looked around wildly. No one. No uncle. No Igioma. No Chinidu. Only mangrove roots, fog, and the silent silver water. Amaka hugged herself. "Why didn't it kill me?" she whispered. As if the river heard her question, a ripple formed near the far roots, small and quiet. Then the ripple stopped. The water became smooth again, like nothing happened. Amaka stood slowly, shaking. She did not know what she had entered. But she knew one thing now. Mirioki was not just water. Something lived there. Something old. And it had seen her. Amaka did not know how she found her way back home. She only knew her legs kept moving, even though they shook like a young goat's legs. The sky was still dark, but the far edge of the east was turning gray. Birds began to chirp softly, as if nothing strange had happened in the forest. But something strange had happened. Amaka walked out of the bush path and reached the back gate of Matsi Kalechi's compound. She paused there, breathing hard, listening. The compound was still asleep. No one was outside. No lanterns. No voices. Amaka slipped in quietly and rushed to her small storeroom. She sat down on her mat and hugged her knees, trying to stop her body from shaking. Her skin still felt cold, like the river had left its fingers on her. She shut her eyes and saw the same thing again. The dark hollow in the mangrove trunk. The slow movement. The giant wet head sliding out like a secret. The amber eyes. The tongue flick. Amaka covered her mouth with both hands. God, she whispered. What is that thing? She wanted to cry, but her tears felt trapped. Even her tears were scared. A few hours later, morning arrived fully. Sunlight entered her little room through the tiny window. Voices filled the compound. Pots clanged. Goats bleated. And then, Igioma's voice came, loud as usual. Amaka. Where is my tea? Did you go and die inside your room? Amaka's chest tightened. She stood up slowly, adjusted her wrapper, and stepped outside as if nothing had happened. She went to the kitchen, warmed water, and prepared tea with shaky hands. Her eyes were heavy. Her body ached, not from work, but from fear. When she carried the cup to Igioma's room, Igioma stared at her face closely. Igioma said. You look like someone that saw a spirit. Amaka forced a calm voice. I am just tired. Igioma snorted. Tired? From what? Sweeping the compound you always sweep. Amaka lowered her head. Yes. Igioma leaned closer, smiling like a cat. Let me tell you something, she said softly. If you are hiding something, it will expose you one day. Amaka's fingers tightened around the tray. Igioma continued, enjoying her own words. And if your secret brings shame to this house, my father will deal with you. Amaka's throat went dry. She walked out without answering, but inside her mind, fear and anger fought each other. This house. As if she was not human too. That afternoon, Amaka went outside to wash plates near the back tap. She kept glancing toward the mango tree, toward the bathroom shed, toward the back gate. Everywhere felt unsafe. She tried to focus on the plates, but her hands moved slowly. Her mind kept drifting back to Mirioki. Suddenly, she heard a low cough behind her. Amaka turned quickly. It was Chinidu. He stood near the fence, holding a small basket of oranges. His eyes looked worried. Amaka, he said quietly. I came to check on you. Amaka stared at him like she had been waiting for him without knowing. Chinidu stepped closer. You didn't answer when I called your name this morning at the well. I asked about you. Amaka looked down. I was inside. Chinidu's voice became serious. Did you go back to the river? Amaka did not answer. Chinidu didn't shout. He only looked at her, and his eyes said, Please tell me the truth. Amaka finally whispered, Yes. Chinidu's shoulders dropped like someone poured a heavy load on them. What happened? He asked. Amaka's lips trembled. I saw it. Chinidu frowned. Saw what? Amaka swallowed. A snake. Not a small one. A giant one. Chinidu's face changed immediately. The color in his cheeks seemed to drain. Amaka, he said carefully, describe it. Amaka's voice became faster, like the words were chasing her. It was inside a tree hollow. It pushed its head out slowly. It looked at me. The path turned. I couldn't escape. I kept running in circles. Chinidu's eyes widened. And then I fell, Amaka said, her voice breaking. I woke up near the river, covered with wet leaves. No person. No animal. Just silence. Chinidu stood still. Even the oranges in his basket seemed forgotten. "This is not ordinary," he muttered. Amaka looked at him sharply. "You believe me?" Chinidu turned to her. "Amaka, I would believe you even if the whole village laughed. Because I know you don't lie like that." Amaka's eyes filled with tears. Chinidu glanced around quickly to make sure no one was listening. Then he said, "We need to talk to someone who understands Mirioki." Amaka shook her head quickly. "No. If people hear, my uncle will." Chinidu cut in gently. "If you keep quiet, you will die quietly too." Amaka flinched at the word die. Chinidu softened his voice. "Not because I want to scare you, but because the forest is not joking with you. This thing you saw, it may come again." Amaka's body felt numb. Chinidu looked toward the bush line behind the compound. "There is an old woman in Umuani. People call her Mama Sola. She is not a witch. She is an elder who knows river stories. She used to be a river singer when she was young. If anyone can explain what you saw, it is her." Amaka hesitated. "Will she help me?" Chinidu nodded. "Come with me after sunset. We will go quietly." Amaka looked toward the main house. "But Ijeoma will ask where I am going." Chinidu thought quickly. "Tell them you are going to buy salt at the evening market." Amaka's heart raced. Lying was not good, but staying silent was worse. She nodded slowly. That evening, when the sun began to sink and the village became gold-orange, Amaka slipped out with Chinidu. They walked through narrow paths between compounds. Children played by the road. Women carried yams in baskets. Men sat under trees, talking loudly. No one guessed that Amaka's heart was beating like a drum inside her chest. Mama Sola's house was at the edge of the village, near a small cluster of palm trees. Her yard smelled of herbs, bitter leaves and dried roots. Mama Sola was very old. Her back bent slightly, but her eyes were sharp and bright like someone still young inside. She sat on a low wooden stool, peeling kola nut. When she saw Chinidu, she nodded once. "Chinidu, my son." Then her eyes moved to Amaka. She stared at Amaka's face for a long moment, like she was reading a message written on skin. Mama Sola murmured. "This girl has river mist on her." Amaka froze. "Mama. Mama Sola raised her hand. "Sit." Amaka and Chinidu sat on a woven mat. Mama Sola leaned forward. "Tell me what you saw. But don't add salt. Speak plain." Amaka took a deep breath and explained everything, her uncle watching her bath, her fear, the midnight trips, the whisper, the dizziness, the tree hollow, the giant head, the looping path, and waking up covered in wet leaves. Mama Sola listened without blinking. When Amaka finished, Mama Sola was quiet for a long time. Even the chickens in the yard seemed to hush. Finally, Mama Sola spoke. "You have met Izmiri," she said. Chinidu's jaw tightened. "The river snake?" Mama Sola nodded slowly. "Not just a snake. A river spirit. An ancient guardian. A test giver." Amaka's voice shook. "But Mama, why didn't it kill me?" Mama Sola looked at her carefully. "Because it did not come first to kill you." Amaka's skin prickled. "Then what did it want?" Mama Sola pointed one finger at Amaka's chest. It wanted to see what is inside here, she said. Your heart. Amaka blinked, confused. My heart. Yes, Mama Sola replied. Mirioki is not a normal river. It is a river that watches people. Long ago, before our grandfathers' grandfathers, this river saved Umwani during a terrible war. Enemies tried to cross at night. The river rose and swallowed them. From that day, people feared it and respected it. Chinidu leaned forward. So the river protects the village? Mama Sola nodded. It protects and it judges. People who go there at night with bad plans, stealing, evil charms, greedy prayers, sometimes do not return. Amaka's stomach turned. But I did not go with bad plans. I only wanted to bathe in peace. Mama Sola's eyes softened a little. That is why you returned. Amaka breathed out, but fear still held her. Mama Sola continued, listen well, child. Izmiri is not like a goat you can chase away. It is not like a thief you can shout at. It is old. It is dark. It is patient. It tests people the way fire tests clay pots. Some pots crack. Some become strong. Amaka whispered, so why did it make the path turn? Mama Sola's voice grew firm. Because you ran like someone hiding truth. And the river does not like hidden truth. Amaka's eyes widened. But I was scared. Mama Sola nodded. Fear is normal. But when fear makes you run in circles, you must stop and speak. Amaka stared. Speak to the river. Yes, Mama Sola said. If you return, don't run. Don't insult. Don't demand. Go with clean words. Tell the truth plainly. Ask for mercy. Ask for protection. If your heart is clean, the river will answer in a way you will understand. Chinidu looked alarmed. Mama, are you telling her to go back there again? Mama Sola glanced at him. Does she have another safe place to bathe? Chinidu fell silent. Mama Sola turned back to Amaka. But hear this too, she said, and her voice became low. Your problem did not start at the river. It started at your home. Amaka's throat tightened again. Mama Sola's eyes sharpened. There is betrayal in your compound. Betrayal wears family skin. The river showed you a monster in the mangrove, but the first monster is closer than the mangrove. Amaka's hands clenched. Tears rose in her eyes. Chinidu whispered, angry, Matsi Kalechi. Mama Sola nodded once. A man who watches a girl like that has already stepped into dark behavior. And dark behavior invites dark things. Amaka whispered, what should I do, Mama? Mama Sola reached behind her stool and brought out a small calabash of chalk. She dipped her finger and drew a tiny white mark on Amaka's wrist, small and simple. This is not magic to fight Izmiri, she said. It is a reminder. When you see it, remember, speak truth, don't run in circles. Amaka stared at the mark. Mama Sola leaned closer. If you go again, go before the moon is too high. Carry your lantern. Keep your wrapper close. And when you reach the river, kneel. Tell the river the truth. Even if your voice shakes. Amaka's lips trembled. And if it attacks me? Mama Sola's face did not change. Then you will know you went with a lie in your mouth. But if you go with truth, the river will not bite you. Amaka swallowed hard. Chinidu stood up slowly. Thank you, Mama. Mama Sola waved her hand lightly. Go. And Chinidu, watch her with your eyes open. Some people don't like good things for others. Chinidu nodded. On the way back, the village looked normal again, children laughing, women chatting, smoke rising from pots. But Amaka felt like she was carrying two worlds inside her at once. One world was the village world. The other was the river world. And both worlds were connected by one painful truth. She had nowhere safe. That night, after everyone slept, Amaka sat on her mat and looked at the small chalk mark on her wrist. She remembered Mama Sola's words. Speak truth. Don't run in circles. Outside, the moon climbed higher. And in the distance, beyond the mangroves, Mirioki waited, silent, silver, and watchful. That night, Amaka did not sleep. She lay on her mat and stared at the small crack in her wall where moonlight entered. The compound was quiet, but quiet did not mean safe. Quiet only meant people were hiding their noise. She kept hearing her uncle's angry voice from the day she confronted him. If you ever talk this nonsense outside. Amaka's stomach twisted. Then she remembered the mangrove hollow and the amber eyes watching her like a patient fire. She touched the chalk mark Mama Sola drew on her wrist. Speak truth. Don't run in circles. Outside, a goat shifted in its sleep. Somewhere far away, a dog barked once and stopped. The village was settling deep into night. Amaka sat up slowly. She did not want to go back to Mirioki. But she also knew she could not stay. Not when her own home had become a place of fear. She tied her wrapper tighter, picked up her lantern, and stepped out of her room. The compound yard was dark. The mango tree stood like a tall guard. The bathroom shed looked like a small shadow waiting to swallow her. Amaka's throat went dry. She did not look at the mango tree for too long. She moved quickly toward the back gate. As she pushed it open, it made a small creak. Amaka froze, holding her breath. Nothing happened. No footsteps. No voice. She slipped out and began walking toward the bush path. The night air felt colder than before. The leaves seemed louder under her sandals. The lantern's light danced and shook with each step. Amaka tried to walk gently. But fear made her steps quick. A vine brushed her cheek and she flinched. Calm down, she whispered to herself. Calm down. She kept touching the chalk mark on her wrist like it was a small rope holding her mind steady. When the mangroves finally opened, Mirioki appeared again. Silver water. Quiet mist. Twisted roots. It looked beautiful, like a story. But Amaka knew stories could bite. She set her lantern on the same rock and looked around carefully. Nothing moved. No ripples. No shadow. Still, Amaka felt watched. Her heart beat fast. She stepped closer to the water's edge and stopped. This time, she did not rush into bathing. Mama Sola said to kneel. Amaka slowly bent her knees and knelt on the damp ground. The cold touched her skin. Her wrapper clung a little. Mist swirled around her ankles like thin smoke. Amaka stared at the water. Her voice was small at first. Mirioki, she whispered. The river stayed calm. Amaka swallowed and spoke louder. Mirioki. I came again. Her mouth felt dry. Her hands trembled, but she forced her words out slowly and clearly. I know people fear you. I know they say you take people at night. She breathed in. I did not come to steal. I did not come to do bad things. I did not come to insult you. Her voice shook, but she continued. I came because I am not safe in my home. The words came out like a stone falling into water. Amaka's eyes filled with tears. In my uncle's compound, they treat me like I am nothing. His daughter insults me every day. I work until my body aches. She paused, then spoke the hardest truth. And my uncle, he watched me when I was bathing. I felt his eyes. I heard him. When I asked him, he became angry. He threatened me. A tear rolled down her cheek and dropped onto her wrapper. I am ashamed, she whispered. I am afraid. I only wanted a place where nobody can watch me. Amaka's voice broke. I did not come because I want gold. I did not come because I want power. I just want peace. I just want to be safe. She bowed her head, breathing hard. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the mist changed. It did not rise fast. It did not swirl wildly. It simply moved, slowly and gently, as if something big beneath it had shifted its body. The water, which was already calm, became even calmer. It became smooth like glass. Amaka lifted her head slowly. She saw a small ripple form near the mangrove roots, then another, quiet ripples moving outward like circles. Amaka's breath caught. The air grew still. So still that even the insects seemed to stop singing. Then she heard a sound. A creak. Soft, deep, wooden. Like a door opening very slowly. Amaka turned her lantern toward the mangroves. There, between thick roots, was the hollow mangrove trunk. The dark hole. The mouth. It was not just a hole now. It looked wider, as if the tree itself was opening. The creak came again. Amaka's hands went cold. She wanted to run. But she pressed her fingers on the chalk mark and whispered quickly, "Don't run in circles. Don't run in circles." Something moved inside the hollow. Not fast. Not sudden. Slow. Like a king who knows he does not need to rush. A thick, wet coil slid out first, shining in the lantern light, swamp olive and dark jade with muddy gold patterns that looked like old marks painted by the earth. Then another coil. Then another. The anaconda was coming out. But it did not come out fully into open space. It stayed wrapped inside the roots like it was sitting on a throne made of mangrove bones. Amaka's mouth opened, but no sound came. The anaconda's head appeared last. Broad. Heavy. Predatory. Its eyes were amber, but not wild like a normal animal. They looked old. Like they had seen many seasons. Its tongue flicked once, slow and calm. Amaka's whole body shook. This was Izmiri. The river deity. The test giver. Amaka lowered her head quickly, not because she was forced, but because her heart knew this was bigger than her fear. Izmiri, she whispered. I greet you. The river stayed silent. But the silence felt like an answer. Then something strange happened. The water near the bank moved, not with a splash, but with a gentle push, like an invisible hand slid something forward. A clay pot appeared. It was wet, as if it rose from the river bottom. It slid onto the sand and stopped in front of Amaka. Amaka stared at it, shaking. Then another clay pot slid beside it. 2 pots. One was big, with thick sides and deep carvings around its belly. The other was small, plain, and lighter looking. Amaka's breath came out in a shaky whisper. 2. The mist thickened for a second, and in that mist, a voice came, low and deep, like thunder far away. Take only one. Amaka's skin prickled. The voice was not loud, but it entered her bones. Your choice will follow you home. Amaka stared at the pots. Her hands shook so much her fingers could barely move. She remembered the way her life had been, always choosing what others forced on her, never choosing for herself. Now the river was giving her a choice. And it was warning her. Take only one. Amaka looked at the big pot. It looked heavy. It looked important. It looked like something people would fight for. Then she looked at the small pot. Plain. Quiet. Easy to carry. Amaka swallowed. Her mind remembered Mama Sola's voice and the village sayings she heard as a child. Big yam is not always sweet. Big drum can hide a crack. Amaka whispered, "Big things are not always best." She reached out slowly, carefully, like a child touching hot soup. Her fingers touched the small pot. It was cool. Wet. Real. Amaka lifted it. It was light enough for her arms. She did not even touch the big one again. She stood up slowly, holding the small pot tight to her chest. I will take this," she whispered. The mist moved again. The river surface shone softly, like silver breathing. Izmiri did not strike. It did not chase her. It only watched. And in that watching, Amaka felt something she did not expect. Not love. Not comfort. But permission. As if the river had heard her truth and accepted it. Amaka backed away, holding the small pot tight. She picked up her lantern with her other hand and turned toward the path. Her legs wanted to run, but she forced them to walk. One careful step. Then another. She did not look back until the mangroves swallowed the river from her view. This time, the path did not twist. This time, the trees did not send her in circles. The bush felt quiet, but it did not feel like a trap. Amaka's heart beat fast all the way home, but it was not only fear now. It was also hope. When she reached the compound gate, the sky was still dark. Everyone slept. No one saw her slip into her room with the small pot hidden under her wrapper. Inside, she sat on her mat and stared at it. "What is inside you?" she whispered. Her hands shook as she lifted the pot. She thought of Igioma's voice, always proud. She thought of Matsi Kalechi's face, always angry. She thought of the river voice. "Your choice will follow you home." Amaka closed her eyes. Then she lifted the pot and broke it on the floor. The clay cracked with a sharp sound. Amaka flinched, listening for footsteps. No one came. She looked down. At first, she saw only broken clay. Then something bright caught the moonlight. Gold. Not one coin. Many. Necklaces, rings, bracelets, thick coins, shining and heavy, scattered across her floor like a sun broke into pieces. Amaka covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes became wide. Ah! A small sound escaped her. Half laugh, half cry. She picked one bracelet with trembling fingers. It was real. Cold and heavy. She touched it again and again like her fingers could not believe. Tears finally came, fast and hot. Not tears of fear. Tears of relief. Tears of, maybe my life can change. Amaka quickly gathered the gold into an old cloth and tied it tight like a bundle. She pushed it under her mat, then sat back and breathed hard. "God," she whispered. "God, thank you." Morning came. Amaka moved through her work like a person carrying a secret fire inside her chest. She cooked, washed, swept, and kept her face calm. But her mind was planning. She could not carry all the gold at once. That would bring questions. So she began small. Over the next days, she took one necklace, then one ring, then 2 coins. She sold them quietly to a trader who passed through the village and did not ask too many questions. Each time she returned with money hidden in her wrapper, her heart pounded like she was stealing. But she was not stealing. She was escaping. After some time, Amaka had enough. She found a small house at the edge of Umoani village, modest, but clean. It had one main room, a small cooking space, and a veranda where morning light could sit gently. Amaka bought it quietly through an elder woman who did not gossip too much. The day she moved, she carried her few things in a basket, 2 wrappers, 1 blouse, her soap, her cup, and her sleeping mat. Nothing looked like wealth. But inside her, everything was changing. When she stepped into her new home, she stood still. The air smelled like fresh clay and dry wood. No insults. No shouting. No angry eyes. Amaka sat on her mat in the middle of the room and breathed in deeply. For the first time in a long time, she slept without fear. Not long after, Chinedu came to visit. He arrived in the late afternoon when the sun was soft. He stood at her doorway with a small smile, but his eyes looked serious, like he had been holding something back for a long time. "Amaka," he said. Amaka stepped out onto the veranda. "Chinedu, you found my house." He nodded. "The village talks. But not everything they say is true." Amaka smiled a little. "Come in." Chinedu entered and looked around. The house was simple, but it felt peaceful. He nodded slowly, as if he respected the quiet. "This place suits you," he said. "It feels safe." Amaka's throat tightened. "Yes." Chinedu sat down on the floor mat, then looked up at her. "Amaka," he began, "I need to tell you something." Amaka's heart jumped. "Is it about my uncle?" Chinedu shook his head. "Not only." He took a deep breath, like the next words were heavy. "I have not been fully honest with you," he said. Amaka's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in surprise. Chinedu's voice stayed calm. "I came to Umwani village for a reason. I did not come only to farm. I did not come only to live quietly." Amaka stared. Chinedu continued, "My name is Chinedu, yes. But I am also a prince." Amaka froze. "A prince," she repeated, almost laughing because it sounded too big for her small house. Chinedu nodded slowly. "Yes. My father is king in a far village across the hills. I have been living quietly among people to find a woman with a rare heart." Amaka's mouth opened, then closed. Chinedu looked at her with gentle eyes. Not a woman with big clothes. Not a woman with loud pride. A woman who stays kind even when life is hard. He paused. "And I found her." Amaka's chest rose and fell fast. Chinedu reached into his pocket and brought out a simple bead bracelet, small, neat, and beautiful. Then he looked into her eyes and said softly, "Amaka, will you marry me?" Amaka's breath caught in her throat, and for a moment, the room felt too quiet to hold what was happening. Amaka could not speak for a moment. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She just stared at Chinedu like she was looking at a dream that might disappear if she blinked too hard. Prince," she whispered again. Chinedu nodded. "Yes." Amaka's hands trembled. "But why would a prince choose me? I am just Amaka." Chinedu's eyes softened. "That is exactly why. You are not pretending to be anyone else. You are strong, even when you are tired. You are kind, even when people are cruel. You did not let pain turn you into a wicked person." Amaka looked away because tears were rising again. Chinedu continued, "When you were suffering, you did not start planning revenge. You only wanted peace. That is rare." He held out the small bead bracelet again. "So, will you marry me?" Amaka's heart beat like a drum. She thought of the nights she cried quietly on her mat. She thought of the days she swept the compound while Igioma laughed. She thought of the fear in the bathroom behind the mango tree. Then she thought of Mirioki, how come the water became when she told the truth. Amaka lifted her eyes back to Chinedu. I am scared," she admitted. Chinedu nodded gently. "It is okay." Amaka took a deep breath. "But if you truly mean what you are saying, if you truly want me, not my gold, not my story, not village gossip." Chinedu leaned forward. "I want you." Amaka's tears finally fell, but she smiled through them. "Yes," she said softly. "Yes, Chinedu. I will marry you." Chinidu's face broke into a wide smile. He held her hands carefully like he was holding something precious that could break if he squeezed too hard. "Thank you," he whispered. "You will not regret it." News travels fast in a village. By the next market day, people were already whispering. "Did you hear? The orphan girl. The one that used to wash plates in Matsi Kalechi's house. A prince asked her to marry him." Some people were happy. Some people were shocked. Some people were jealous. But the loudest anger was inside one compound, Matsi Kalechi's compound. Ijeoma heard it first from her friend, Ngozi, who came running like she was carrying hot pepper. "Ijeoma! Ijeoma!" Ngozi shouted. "Have you heard? Amaka is marrying Chinidu." Ijeoma froze with her comb halfway through her hair. "What did you say?" she snapped. Ngozi laughed excitedly. "Chinidu is a prince. A real prince. He has been hiding among us. And he chose Amaka." For a second, Ijeoma's mouth stayed open. Then her face twisted like sour soup. "Lies," she hissed. "It is lie." Ngozi shook her head. "It is true. People are talking everywhere. They even said Amaka is rich now. They said she bought a house." Ijeoma's hands began to shake. "Amaka," she repeated, like the name tasted bitter. Just then, Matsi Kalechi walked into the yard and heard the shouting. "What is going on?" he demanded. Ijeoma turned to him quickly. "Daddy. They said Amaka is marrying Chinidu." Matsi Kalechi frowned. "So? Not so," Ijeoma cried. "They said Chinidu is a prince. And he chose her." Matsi Kalechi's eyes widened for one moment. Then he narrowed them. "A prince," he repeated slowly. Ngozi added, "And they said Amaka is rich too. That she got gold from somewhere." Matsi Kalechi's face changed. His lips pressed tight. His eyes became sharp. "Gold," he murmured. Ijeoma stepped closer, her voice bitter. "Daddy, how can that useless Amaka be the one to become rich and marry a prince? Me that I am your real daughter, I have nothing." Ngozi tried to calm her. "Maybe it is her destiny." "Shut up," Ijeoma shouted. Ngozi stepped back, scared, and quietly left the compound. Ijeoma turned fully to her father. "Daddy," she said, breathing hard, "Amaka did not just get lucky. She did something. She found something. She went somewhere." Matsi Kalechi's mind was already running. He remembered how Amaka had confronted him. He remembered her fear. He remembered how she began acting differently after some nights. His jaw tightened. "That girl," he muttered. "So she was hiding something." Ijeoma's eyes flashed. "If she got gold from the river, then I can also get it. If she can marry a prince, then I can marry someone bigger." Matsi Kalechi looked at his daughter, then looked away like he was thinking deeply. Greed is like a sickness. Once it enters, it makes the eyes blind. He should have warned her. He should have told her to stay away from Mirioki. He should have remembered village stories. But instead, he leaned closer and lowered his voice. "If Amaka went to Mirioki and came back with gold," he said slowly, "then you can also go." Ijeoma's lips curled into a proud smile. "Yes." Matsi Kalechi pointed one finger at her. "Go at midnight. Don't tell anyone. Go and come back with wealth. Let the village see who the real owner of this compound is." Ijeoma nodded quickly. "I will go." That night, the moon rose bright. Ijeoma tied her wrapper tight and wore her best earrings, as if she was going to a party, not a forbidden river. She carried a lantern too, but her hand was steady, not because she was brave, but because she was proud. As she walked into the bush path, she whispered to herself, "Gold will be mine. Everything will be mine." The mangrove stood tall and quiet as she approached. The air became colder. The mist came like a thin blanket over the river. When Ijeoma reached Mirioki, the river looked calm and silver under the moon. She smiled. "Southwest, this is the place," she said aloud, speaking to the darkness like it was her friend. Amaka thought she was smart. She stepped closer to the bank and raised her chin. "River," she called. "I am here." The water stayed calm. Mist drifted. Roots stayed still. Ijeoma frowned. "I said I am here. Bring my blessing." No answer. She clicked her tongue in annoyance. "Stupid river. You gave Amaka gold, you must also give me." She moved closer, then froze. A soft creak came from the roots. The hollow mangrove trunk opened slowly, the same way it opened for Amaka. Ijeoma's eyes widened, but not with respect. With excitement. "Yes," she whispered. "It is working." A thick coil shifted inside the roots. Amber eyes glowed faintly. The giant anaconda deity, Izmiri, revealed its presence like a shadow becoming real. Ijeoma felt fear for 1 second, but she crushed it under greed. "Good," she said quickly. "Bring the pots." The water near the bank moved gently. 2 clay pots slid onto the sand. 1 big. 1 small. And then the whisper came, low and deep, carried by mist. "Take only 1." Ijeoma's mouth tightened. The whisper continued. "Your choice will follow you home." Ijeoma stared at the pots and laughed, small and rude. "Only 1," she scoffed. "Who are you to tell me only 1?" She looked at the big pot. Her eyes shone. She looked at the small pot. She made a face. "The small one is for poor people," she said. Then she grabbed the big pot first. But her hands did not stop there. She snatched the small pot too, hugging both to her chest. The mist seemed to thicken. The river surface, still calm, looked darker now, like silver turning to iron. Ijeoma stepped back quickly. "If Amaka got gold from 1, I will get gold from 2, she boasted. She rushed away into the mangroves, panting, holding both pots like stolen babies. This time, the path did not twist for her. It did not need to. Because the trap was not in the path. The trap was in her heart. When Ijeoma reached home, she ran straight to her father's room. "Matsi Kalechi," she whispered loudly. "Daddy. I got them. I got both." Matsi Kalechi sprang up from his mat like a hungry man smelling food. "Both," he repeated, eyes bright. "Yes." Ijeoma said proudly. "I didn't choose. I took everything." Matsi Kalechi's mouth opened in greedy joy. "My daughter. You are wise. This is how rich people behave." They shut the door and sat on the floor with the pots between them. Matsi Kalechi rubbed his palms together. "Break them. Break them now." Ijeoma lifted the big pot first. She raised it high and smashed it on the ground. The clay broke. But instead of gold, black water burst out, dark, thick, and cold, flooding the floor like it had been waiting inside. Ijeoma screamed. "Ah!" Matsi Kalechi jumped back. "What is this?" The black water moved like it was alive. It rushed to the corners. It climbed the walls in wet streaks. Then something else spilled out. Not gold. Snakes. Not 1. Many. They slithered out of the broken pot like living ropes, twisting and sliding over the wet floor, filling the room with frantic movement. Ijeoma screamed again and climbed onto a stool. "Daddy! Daddy!" she cried. "Help me! Matsi Kalechi grabbed a stick, shaking. Get away! Get away! But the room felt too small. The floor felt like it was moving. The black water kept spreading, and the snakes kept pouring out. In panic, Ijeoma shouted, "The small pot. Maybe the gold is in the small one." Matsi Kalechi, half blind with fear and greed, grabbed the small pot and smashed it too. More black water. More writhing serpents. The lantern fell and went out. The room became a nightmare of wet sounds, hissing, and terror. Outside, goats bleated loudly. Chickens flew off their perch. Dogs barked and ran away. Villagers woke up and stood at a distance, afraid to enter. No one saw blood. No one saw anything too graphic. But everyone heard the fear. By the time the first sunlight reached the compound, the black water was gone, as if it sank into the ground. The snakes were gone too, like they returned to wherever they came from. The room was left wet, smelling like river mud and bitter herbs. And the greedy power that ruled that compound was finished. That morning, the village gathered in whispers. Some people shook their heads. Some people covered their mouths. Some people said softly, "Mirioki has judged." When Amaka heard, her heart sank for 1 second. Not because she missed their cruelty, but because she understood something deep. The river did not play games. It tested hearts. Chinedu held Amaka's hand and said quietly, "You are safe now. We will leave this pain behind." And they did. Amaka married Chinedu with simple joy. There was food, music, and dancing. Not the kind of celebration that shows off pride, but the kind that feels warm and true. Amaka did not use her gold to insult anyone. Instead, she used it to help. She quietly paid school fees for one orphan boy. She gave soap and cloth to a struggling widow. She helped build a small safe bathing shelter near the women's side of the village, so girls would not be forced into dangerous places just to find privacy. Slowly, people began to respect her, not because she became rich, but because she stayed kind. And Mirioki. Amaka never went back to bathe there again. But on calm moonlit nights, some villagers said the river still shined like silver. Peaceful. Watchful. Like a king sitting quietly on a throne of roots, reminding everyone. Humility brings safety. Greed brings trouble. Moral lesson. Do not let greed or jealousy control your heart. And never be silent when something is wrong, because silence can invite danger. A humble heart can find help, but a proud heart can destroy itself. Question for you. If you were Amaka, would you have taken the small pot, or would you have been tempted by the big one? If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe for more African folktale fantasies, and tell me your answer in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.